Bluegrass Friday. This right here is String Bean and Grandpa Jones playing a little Lisa Jane. Them some banjo playing fellers right there.
You're a banjo playing fella there, Billy Thornton.
Oh yeah, I play. I've been known to play a little banjo from time to time. That's
Can you play
damn
anything
certain.
yet? Can you play anything yet?
Oh yeah, I'm playing this right now. As a matter of fact,
He's been playing
And singing.
He's been really fiddling the heck out of that thing.
oh, I've been fiddling like a fiddler.
Speaking of fiddle,
Yeah.
have you learned anything?
I'm learning. I'm not like a.
If you're not a master of the fiddle, in 2 weeks I want the thing back.
My cousin Adam calling in right now for our legal segment. Adam Calvert, how are you, sir?
Great. How you guys doing?
Very good, very good. We're doing a little Bluegrass Friday thing today, playing some bluegrass music, and it's also Slip and Slide Friday, so we're going to be setting a slip and slide out front and inviting people to come slip and slide. When was the last time, Adam Calvert, that you have slip and slided? And extension to that question, is it looked down upon in the lawyer community to slip and slide?
You know, I can't remember the last time I slipped. I slipped and slid or slipped and slided.
I like slip and slowed.
What's that?
I like slip and slowed.
Slip and slowed?
Yeah.
All right. Well, last time I slipped and slowed, I can't remember. Although it certainly sounds tempting today.
Well, but if let's say your lawyer buddies saw you slip and sliding, and would they look down upon that and say that's juvenile? I mean, what is the? Okay, what do you do? Do you go to martini bars in your spare time? Because in Law and Order, they always go to at the end of every case, they're always sitting at the bar, drinking a martini.
No, not really. I'm not a martini guy. I'm kind of more like a beer and whiskey sort of guy.
Okay, beer and whiskey. But do you go? But after a tough case, do you go to a bar and?
It's not the movies. It's real life.
That's why I'm asking. I'm trying to. No, it's nothing like that, because they would always drink a martini with like the if the prosecutor would be drinking with, and the defendant would come up and they'd have like a little whimsical conversation, and then there'd be some lesson that they'd both learned about the case, and then the end of the episode. So it's nothing like that, huh?
No, it's everything like that. I mean, it's
it's all that and more.
Now at the end of every case, do the credits roll at the end of every case too, just like in the show?
Yeah, and every case is resolved within 1 hour. So
Do they show all the bloopers at the end of the case?
They should do that, a blooper reel at the end of every trial.
Well, it's just a bunch of footage of attorneys on slip and slides.
Yeah, there it is.
Drinking martinis.
All right, well, speaking of some slap-happy fun here, this actually sounds very bad, but it's actually kind of funny. On Monday, a 3-judge appellate panel in New Jersey ruled that a pair of 14-year-old boys in Somerset County committed a crime in 2008 by sitting on the faces of a pair of 12-year-olds with their bare buttocks. Yeah, you laugh now, Dara, but now they're forced to register as sex offenders for the rest of their lives. According to the story, in a decision handed down on Monday, the panel judges said that they were bound to uphold the law. Quote, "We are keenly aware of our decision, and it may have profound lifelong ramifications for these two boys, as well as their families and others in their similar situation." One of the boys whose case went to trial said he had pulled the stunt because, quote, "I thought it was funny, and I thought it was going to get my friends to laugh." But here's the way it reads. An act, that, like as far as getting on the sex offender registry, an act is considered criminal sexual contact if it is done for sexual gratification or to degrade or humiliate the victim, and it's punishable by lifetime registration. The attorneys for the teenagers argue that their behavior amounted to nothing but horseplay. So is there any common sense that can be put in here? These guys are going to be on the sex offender registry for the rest of their lives. You can't get off this thing. Doesn't that cheapen the sex offender registry when two 14-year-olds get on there for putting their bare butts on some kids' faces?
You can change your name.
That's terrible.
No, you can't.
Change your butt.
Yeah, it certainly does cheapen it, but what the judges said was that there's nothing they can do because the law says if you are found guilty of criminal sexual contact, which these kids were, then you're automatically put on the sex offender registry. And that's what the law says. It doesn't provide for an exemption. Now, some courts have found a horseplay exemption, and that's what the attorneys for the boys were hoping would apply here. But the court decided not to adopt it. It read the law literally and said, well, the law says if you were found guilty of this criminal sexual contact, you're on the registry. It doesn't say anything about an exemption.
So there's no discretion that they can put in here. I mean, obviously, look, come on. People have done this for a long time. I mean, they've already Oh, yeah. I could put you on the sex offender registry for as many times as you've pulled your shirt up and exposed your nipples to me, for God's sake.
Sorry that I have a Baywatch body.
But, I mean, there's so many different kinds of, like, niche-y things that you could throw onto these things, like hate crimes, you've got sex crimes, you've got bullying. Isn't this more in the category of bullying than a sex crime? They said there has to be some sort of sexual gratification. There's no evidence that these guys they're 14 and 12. There's no evidence they were turned on by this. They were just...
No, or degrade or humiliate the victim.
It's either sexual gratification or...
To degrade or humiliate. So technically, according to the law...
Yeah, that's a good point.
Degrade or humiliate. These people should not only be on the sex offender registry, but should be executed.
Yes.
And
They
I
should
would
be
go
stoned.
and I would go and watch I would throw a stone at these two perverts for what they've done.
Did they at least
How
fart?
dare you?
Did they fart? Because
I
that
hope
would be
so.
the only thing to do.
Yeah, why? Yeah,
Why else
did
would
they
you
do?
stick your butt in somebody's
Because
face?
it's funny to put your butt on somebody's face.
Oh, that's hilarious. I definitely want somebody's bare bumhole right on my face.
You're telling me if somebody came in and sat their bare butt on my face, you wouldn't crack up laughing?
I would if they sat on your face, but if they sat on my face, I'd
Well,
break
obviously,
their
but
throat.
I think you touched on something here very important, because you said, did they? I think the fart really, Adam. I don't know if you know this detail about the case, but the fart will really be what this is all hinged on. Because if a fart did occur, then this was merely horseplay.
Of course.
If
It's
no
tomfoolery.
Yeah, exactly. But if no fart occurred, then you might say that they, in fact, only did this for sexual gratification, in which case, vis-a-vis,
And to
therefore...
humiliate.
No,
Yes.
I would say the fart just shows more evidence of the intent to degrade or humiliate the victim.
What if they just had to
Which is-
fart?
You know, which is what the statute says is required for the crime.
But
Right.
degrading and humiliating, that causes you to be a sex offender?
Well, no, that causes you to be convicted of criminal sexual contact, and under the statute for Megan's law, if you're convicted of criminal sexual contact, you have to register as a sex offender.
Well, let me try to take it this route. Let me go in the back entrance here. And from my perspective, see, this is where I think the homosexual agenda has infiltrated society, because in my opinion, there's nothing sexual about this act, because there's nothing sexual about the male rectum. Therefore, they are not sex offenders.
Yes, there is.
And it's only because of the homosexual agenda that they're being labeled as such. That's kind of, wait, hold on a second. I'm half kidding, but that's kind of a point. I mean,
Wait a minute, I stumbled upon something.
no, seriously. I mean, the male or female buttocks is not, in fact, a sexual area, normally, and so therefore,
Vis-a-vis.
you should be able to use it and utilize it. You should be able to utilize your buttocks in the course of a prank, and it's not sexual because the buttocks is not by nature sexual.
What about a mouth? Is a mouth sexual then?
It depends on. Well, no.
usage.
Well, yes, but if I.
you gotta say no. If you say the buttocks are not sexual,
It's not.
you gotta say the mouth not.
Yes, it's not, because if they had like licked this guy's face, I'm sure that would be gross, but that wouldn't be. They wouldn't be. If they had put their mouth on his face, then this issue wouldn't have arisen. Now, if they had dangled their twigs and berries in the guy's face, then I would say
I don't think we can
sexual.
talk about that. They're 14.
But wait, what if they didn't actually make contact? What if they didn't touch him? What if they held him down, okay, and then he came within a millimeter of touching his butt to his face?
Look at my butt!
And then there would be technically no contact. So then would we still be talking about this? Would he all of a sudden, because there was this millimeter of airspace between there, would he then not go on the sex offender registry?
No, even if you moon somebody, you can be put on the sex offender
Well,
list.
Adam, that's what I'm trying to get at here. What exactly is considered sexual contact? I mean, is it any kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm being serious about the whole butt thing.
Are you saying does it have to be actual physical contact
Well,
when they touch each other, or can it be?
Well, I'm saying what body parts? Because if they had touched their hand to his face, obviously it wouldn't be sexual contact. That just would have been bullying. So are there certain according to the law, are there certain body parts that if you utilize those in the course of a prank, let's say, it's automatically sexual in nature?
Yeah, I think it's really just kind of a case-by-case thing. And I think that's a good point to bring up here. I mean, this wasn't a sexual sort of contact. I mean, sure, a butt can be contacted with somebody and it be sexual in nature, but here that's not the case.
But I think the main point here that Matt might be getting at is that they're using discretion when it comes to which parts of the body are considered sexual, yet they're not willing to use discretion when they're putting someone on the sex offender registry for the rest of their lives. So they're using discretion in one sense for, the actual part of the body that determines what creates you a sex offender, but they're not using discretion when saying that, this wasn't actually a sexual offense, and this guy doesn't need to be, these kids that are 14 don't need to be on the sex offender registry for like 70 years of their life.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, the thing is, other courts have found that an exception for horseplay, even though there's not one stated in the actual law itself, but courts have found it. And this court could have done the same thing, but it chose not to.
Is that a legal term, horseplay?
Tomfoolery is what it is.
Well, I don't know if this, I don't know if you can look it up in Black's Law Dictionary and find anything, but in any event, you have to ask why the court chose not to do that here. I mean, did they just want to punish these kids? Were they really that upset with what these kids did that they decided, we're going to mark them for the rest of their lives with the sex offender registry thing?
Well, I think that the slogan here is, if they use the ass, let them pass. Let them go.
Yeah, I got it.
If you see, touch, or are touched by anything that can't be shown on TV, I think that
yes, but a butt can in fact.
But a butt.
Yes, a butt can be shown.
bare butt
on TV.
cannot.
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can.
Yes, it can.
NYPD Blue, 1992.
Yeah, no.
Arrest my case.
A butt can be shown on the TV. Yeah.
Then why do they blur it out? Even MTV blurs it out.
A butt can be shown in a PG-13 movie. A butt can even be shown. I have seen butts. I have seen so many butts. You wouldn't even believe. I've seen butts in G-rated movies.
No, you haven't.
Cartoon butts.
Cartoon butts. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. MyCousinAdam.com is the website. Adam Calvert, very mature conversation for the most part today, and we will talk to you next week.
As always. All right. Thanks, guys.
Love you. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.